many women are more focused on how they feel than what he said. He could say, I don't want a relationship, but if she feels, but we could be great together, she will hold on to that rather than his actual words. We have to start to understand we're not wired the same way. If I'm a man, my goal is to get more emotionally in tune with you, because I know that sometimes a woman is not going to always use her words to explain how she's feeling. She wants you to pick up on things because women pick up on things. Women see the details, so they want us to see the details. For women, she has to work on being more logical with her approach with him.
Hey Black Tea fam, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that I know is always bubbling beneath the surface in our community: understanding men. Now, I'm not here to bash, and I'm definitely not here to generalize. But after reflecting on a lot of conversations and some really interesting perspectives, I want to share some insights about men that I think could empower us all in our relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or even familial. So grab your tea, get comfortable, and let's talk.
Something I learned from my boyfriend while dating him is to shut up. I know it's not just me. A lot of women who date black men, they complain that men do not express themselves. And I've seen this happen over and over again. Even if you watch a podcast where a man and a woman is on the panel, a man could say a sentence and a woman will cut him off and say a whole speech about that one sentence. If you just learn to pause and let him finish and just ask questions to fully get to know him, he would tell you so much. Black men open up. You just got to give them the space to. Just learn to be quiet. And also keep in mind that you're listening to understand, not to judge or to give your opinion, but to really just see his point of view and get to learn his mind. That will go a long way. So just be quiet, let him talk, ask questions. Your time to give your opinions and your thoughts will come. And if you notice, men always sit quietly and listen. Give them that same in return.
Things that I learned from men, from dating men, aka How to Think Like a Man, part 2. Your goals should always be your top priority. Men should never come before making money. Men would move mountains to spend time with a guy. If she has work, she'll cut into her work time. She'll cut into her rest time. But a man would never put a woman before his bag. Stop giving people second chances and hoping they'll change. When you're dating someone and they show you their ass, they show you who they are, if you don't like it, leave. Leave them where they're at, because you trying to change them is just going to anchor you. Spend more time with your girls. Men are always with their boys, and that's why they don't do stuff like obsess over us or overthink everything we say, because they're out having fun with their boys. So spend more time with your girls to keep your mind off men.
If you're confused about a man's behavior, all you have to do is this: ignore his words and look at his actions. And I know that you heard this before, but here's the essence behind it. Saying I like you, you're amazing takes me no effort, right? But taking an action to prove that I care about you requires time and energy. And keep this in mind. Usually men say words to get something from you, or they take action to give something to you. So choose the givers.
Let me tell you something about men, a hack real quick while we're here. If you do something for a woman, you know, if you like, I don't know, give her a back massage or buy her an ice cream, she takes it as, oh my God, you've done such a nice thing for me, I'm going to reciprocate. If you do something like that for a man, he takes it as, wow, I've deserved that. So all this time you're doing this female thing. It's like a female form of manipulation, but we don't see it that way because it's actually a really nice thing to do. When you're cooking him meals, putting out for him, doing all this madness, jumping through hoops in order to make him happy, and you're like mad, resentful, angry little rat in the corner because he's not doing it back to you. Remember, all you're communicating to him with that type of communication is that he's a don. He's deserved it. And you're just doing all these amazing things for him because he's the best. If you want a man to do stuff for you, tell him what you want him to do, number one, or just tell him what kind of things you like. I like flowers, instead of buying him flowers every Friday. That's some information for free. Besos.
So I'm 26 and I feel like I've learned a lot from men in my 20s, and these are a few things that I have learned. Men are selfish, and they are selfish in a good way. They always prioritize themselves, whereas us women, we tend to put them first unintentionally. We can learn from that. An example would be, you've already got your day planned out and he's come unexpectedly and said, I want to see you. Now, your day is jam-packed and you can't fit anything else in. If that was a man in that position, they would say, oh, babe, I can't do today. Whereas us women, we will try and fit him in. Prioritize yourself. If you're busy that day, you're busy. Give him an alternative day. 2, another thing I've learned about men is they don't stay and try to change the woman. If you're not up to par, if things are just not hitting, they're going to go and get another one. Girls, stop trying to change a man that doesn't want to change. If someone wants to change, it will be on their own accord. You can't force it. You can't make them. Get another one. The 3rd thing I've learned about guys in my 20s is they don't date potential. I've realized that usually they go for who you are today, the type of person you are today. And I generally believe that girls can learn from that because we must leave the shackles of potential and go for reality. Who is this person today? Is this someone I see myself with for the rest of my life? Is this someone I see raising my children? If he's disrespectful towards you in an argument, what are we really doing here? Why is that something you'll accept? Oh, he's going to change. Girl, the only thing he's going to change is that verbal abuse will one day become physical. Date his reality. Date who he's showing you today. Yeah? Don't date for potential. Because that potential is a made-up story in your head. That is one thing that I've realized. And then you'll be disappointed. But, as always, this doesn't apply to all men. There's green flags out there, guys. There's good men out there sometimes. But these are things that I've learned.
One of the most striking things that came up for me when considering how men operate is this idea of prioritization. It's something that we, as women, can learn from. There's a concept that men tend to prioritize themselves and their goals in a way that women often don't. I think we can get caught up in caretaking and giving to others, sometimes at our own expense. It is not to say that we must become selfish, but perhaps taking a note from this observation can make us more effective and intentional in how we give and receive. Another key area is communication, and this isn't just about talking. It's about how men process information and express themselves. We know that men tend not to be as emotionally expressive as women. It is suggested that some of this behavior stems from a fear of vulnerability. However, we have to understand that they also communicate through actions. Rather than focusing on words alone, it is essential to also pay attention to a man's actions. It's about truly seeing them for who they are and what they show us, not what we want them to be. There is also a point to be made about learning to truly listen to what a man is saying without jumping in to judge or offer opinions right away. Let men speak fully and ask questions for understanding. Now, let's talk about relationships and dating. It is a common theme that men don't often settle or lower their standards for a partner. This suggests that we as women also should not lower our standards for a partner, and we should not date potential, but who a person is in the present. If you're not happy with the current reality of a person, you have to keep it moving. Additionally, men may not seek to change their partners. We also have to understand that not every action or gift is an indication of true affection. Men may also seek to use words to get something from a partner. It is also pointed out that men do not always respond to acts of service or affection in the way women do, but may instead see it as something they are due. This suggests that we need to communicate what we need directly and avoid falling into the trap of resentment. Moving on, let's touch on some difficult yet important topics. The concept of unconditional love from a man is not realistic. Romantic relationships are based on mutual benefits, and that is not wrong. Expecting a man to love you no matter what may lead to disappointment. Furthermore, the sources suggest that insecure men will try to dim your light. It's crucial to recognize these signs and protect your individuality. They will try to control you because they are intimidated by your strengths. The discussion also touched on how men might lie about cheating to avoid accountability. This is a reflection on the importance of self-respect and the need to make informed decisions that protect your safety and well-being. Also, men will leave if they do not think that a relationship is working. So, we also have to be ready to walk away when someone is not fulfilling our needs.
3 things I wish I knew about men when I was younger. Listen to what he talks about in the very beginning of your relationship, especially what he says on a first date. If he talks about his work, his health, his mother, his ex, those are the things that are important to him. And if you want to get to know him, all you need to do is to sit back and listen. Focus on how you feel when you're with him, instead of putting all your attention to if he likes you enough or what he may think of you. A man cannot commit if he has not found his purpose yet. And we women should understand how important that is to men, instead of conveniently dismissing it because we want him so badly. If you want to see how a man feels about you, all you have to do is to look at how much effort he puts in his actions. If he texts you all day and sends you emojis, great. But you know what? I don't care, because it doesn't really mean anything. To text you is the easiest thing in the world. It doesn't take any effort. I get it. It's nice to read his texts. But I want you to know one thing. Whatever the two of you have only starts to have meaning to that man once he feels he has to make a real effort to show his attraction to you, because men value what they invest in.
Men are supposed to be the leaders. You teach us how to treat you. We're the mirror of you. If you use us, eventually we're going to start reflecting that back to you. You don't use us and you treat us like queens and goddesses and princesses and give us what we deserve, then that's what we're going to do to you. But since y'all been using us, we got to start back using you, because that's just universal law. You know, that's cause and effect. That's polarity. If we don't start using you, something is wrong. Nature will be thrown off. You know what I'm saying? If you drop something and it doesn't hit the ground, something's wrong. If you slap something and no sound comes out, something is wrong. Every action has a reaction. Every cause has an effect. Okay? So now it's time for y'all to see yourselves through us. But we're going to be much worse because we're women. And y'all are men. The whole reason patriarchy became is because the power of a woman is very strong, because it reveals the weakness of men. You know what I'm saying? Like, in every biblical story, the woman is always blamed, right? So I'm feeling like the only good stories about women in the Bible are those who are submissive to their husbands and do A, B, C, and D. You know, that's the only positive light that women are shown in the Bible. And then you have the ones that are shown as evil. They didn't listen to their men. They betrayed men. They seduced men. They did this, and that. And they were cast out and taught to be feared or cast out, right? So men always knew the power of women and that they were a weakness. So now you're getting ready, like, yeah, we were like, yeah, we want to do right. We want true love. We want to be happy. We want a good family. We want a faithful man. We want this. We want that. And then all that stuff started not happening. Like, it started fading. No guys are like that. So why would you have faithful good women when there's no faithful good men? You know, we have to reflect you.
Do not underestimate the man that starts slow. Do not underestimate the man that takes his time, that wants to get to know you before he does all the big things, because it is those men who will have that slow build and who will blow your mind with time. It's the ones that start off at 100% that cannot sustain that 100%. But if he starts slow, you know that he has boundaries, he has self-respect. He's not out here just trying to woo every woman he meets, but instead he's trying to get to know you. He's trying to be your friend. I think that we take for granted the ability for somebody to just be our friend because we esteem romance differently than we esteem our friendships, and we shouldn't do that. But when you think about a man who starts slow, he gets to slowly build your suspense, your anticipation, your expectations. He gets to get to know you without stretching himself too thin, and vice versa. Because if he does all the things for you that you want him to do for an entire year, and then he slowly falls off of that, he has nowhere to go. He has no place to build upon. He's already pulled out all of his best cards when he didn't even know you. And then before you know it, you looking up and now you got a man who has not done any of the things that he started off doing. Whereas if you date a man who starts slow and builds up, when he starts to love you more, know you more, can trust you with his heart, can trust you with his finances, can trust you around his family and friends, can trust you with his vulnerabilities, can trust you with all of him, he gives you the world. Why do you be wanting men to give you the world when they just met you? That's an indication that he will make you his world. And that's not something that you want when a person just met you. That's a prime example of somebody that can easily make you an idol in their lives and then won't be able to sustain the position and the expectation that they set themselves on. They will put themselves on a pedestal and then get mad when you want them to stay there. So it's better to date a man who builds slow, who wants to get to know you, and who will slowly become all that you ever dreamed of based on getting to know you and based on him feeling safe enough to do those things for you.
These are the things that I noticed about men. Men are natural hypocrites and they can't take what they dish out. The only way for them to learn or to know what they did was wrong is for you to do the same exact thing that they did to you and do the exact same thing back to them. They are not nonchalant at all. They just don't give a fuck about you. They have feelings. They just don't have feelings for you. When most of them say they went a year or two without having sex or they were celibate, that's bullshit. They're only celibate because they couldn't get any pussy. They randomly bring up a girl from their past and talk shit and talk about the things that they did to them. They're not over that person. Ask them one question at a time. Don't ask them a whole bunch of questions because they're only going to answer one anyway. Men respond to no contact. They're not going to respond to those big ass paragraphs and you posting those quotes, but they're definitely going to respond to you going days without talking to them and canceling plans with them.
These are things I learned about men in my 20s. The good ones are truly very simple and easy to be with. The toxic ones, you will never outmaneuver their logic, and even if you do, there is no way you can do it without hurting yourself or compromising your own morals. He will never be as in the details as you are, and I am not justifying their incompetence, but they just don't have an eye for aesthetics and details as we do. The ones that know how to sweet talk and do really romantic things learned from another girl. Most of them will require you to tell them or show them what you like before they know. He's not going to figure out that you like orchids over roses. No matter what age or how successful they are, they all have a very cutesy and softy side that only you see. Actions will always speak for themselves. Regardless of what he is saying, the truth will be in his actions. If you're not the dream girl, you're the convenient girl. They settle down when it's the right time, and sometimes that's with the convenient girl. When he starts associating you with stress because you guys fight or argue too much, the relationship is over because it is damn near impossible for him to change that mindset. Lastly, if you want to know more about him, look at his friends.
This is how to understand guys. Ladies, listen up, I'm going to spell it out for you. Most men do not talk about their emotions the way that we do. Bar the odd few, but that is likely because when they have in the past, they've had it used against them and they're scared that you're going to do the same to them. We as girls want to talk it out, get to the root of the problem, but guys just aren't wired that way. So when you clock onto the signs of him distancing himself and you can tell that something's up, don't pressure him to talk about it. Let him know you're there for him if ever he wants to, but just listen to him. And maybe do some subtle things that will make his day easier. Secondly, guys don't really get the whole hints thing. Again, for the most part, if your boyfriend does, you're extremely lucky. The likelihood is he has a sister because he's very well versed in women. However, for the vast majority of men, that TikTok that you sent him, where you're like, oh, this looks so fun, isn't going to sink into his mind that that's you subtly asking him without asking him to go and do that together. They're simple, logical creatures, just ask him straight up. Now, when a guy starts acting overprotective and jealous when you've given him no reason to not trust you, he does trust you. He doesn't question your loyalty. It's normally one of two things. One, because of past experiences and environments you find yourself in might trigger that for him. Or because he knows what guys are like and he knows you're a beautiful woman and other guys are going to think that too. Lastly, girlies, what I think is good to remember is that we have grown up on fairy tales of happily ever afters and rom-coms. And in some ways, that sets our expectations from a very young age. And with guys, they don't typically have that. They learn from actual physical experience, which is why you can't assume that he would know what he needs to do to make you happy. Just have a conversation with him and tell him what would make you happy. It doesn't even have to be serious, it can be a light-hearted, jokey thing. When me and my boyfriend first started talking, we set out a contract. And in no means was it actually serious, but it did show us both exactly what each other want in the relationship. Hopefully that's cleared up a few things for you.
There's not a lot of conversation about the really beautiful parts of men. Outside of their money, outside of their things that we are attracted to that don't get a lot of attention. And I know a lot of men are not gonna listen to me or believe me, but when I tell you these attributes are so sexy. Number one is vulnerability. When a man can be honest about the trials and tribulations of life, how it made him feel, what he learned from it, how he grew, how he found resilience, how he's changed over time, and honestly and authentically articulate these things to his partner, to his friend, to his therapist, it is so fucking sexy. Unfortunately, a lot of men think that it's best to be a macho man, don't cry, blah, blah, blah. That is what other men are telling you to be. But what are the women saying? The women are saying, tell us, talk to us, confide in us. We want to help you. We want to get to know the real you. How can we really connect if you don't let me in? Next thing that I find, mwah, chef's kiss, decisiveness. It is so sexy when a man can just make a decision. It's not about how quickly he makes a decision. It's about how he thought about it thoroughly. He weighed the options. He looked at the pros and cons, and he made the best decision for the moment. And once he has made up his mind, it's made. If that ain't masculine energy, I don't know what is, baby. The next thing is a man who cares about others. I always wondered why I had such a strong attraction to Malcolm X and revolutionaries, and it's because they dedicated their life to helping others. It's so selfless and it's so sexy. A lot of men are inherently selfish. So when you meet a man who actually wants to make the world a better place and puts action behind it, oh child, I'm ready to cook a Thanksgiving dinner every day of the week. Last one, I actually asked my mother the other day, what trait would you say is really important in a husband? And she said, a man who is slow to anger, a man that is not reactionary, a man that can sit in his calm, who can let a wave of emotion pass. It's not that we all don't get triggered, but when you understand that your trigger is a feeling and you can sit with it, you can understand where it comes from, and you can decide how to act. It's giving man. It's giving husband.
Here's a list of things I've learned from men. Well, boys, because men do it different. Number one, if they can go 24 hours without talking to you, they can go a day more. They just don't care. When they're not as talky, the attention has gone to someone else. Duh. Let's look in the mirror. Let's not be delusional. We are not going to hop like bunny rabbits after a carrot. No, we're going to let it happen and we're going to move on. We're going to hop, hop, hop to the next man, okay? If they want to, they will. If they don't, they won't. If they can't, they'll voice that. If they want to take you on a date, they will. If they don't want to take you on a date, they flat out won't. And if they can't take you on said date because of money, something came up, the planning, whatever, they will tell you if they care. I like you, and then they don't act on it. They're weird. They're weird. They're liars, and they're weird. We don't do that. We're not going to fall for it. We're not going to be delulu. And being nonchalant is not a personality trait. They just don't care. If they cared enough, they would not be nonchalant. Do we get that? Whew. I love you girls. This is why I'm advocating. And every guy you say no to, or who treats you bad and ends up leaving, you're leaving them, whatever, is another step towards the love of your life. So think about it that way. We don't always have to be sad. We don't always have to be glum. In the end, we're building a puzzle. The end of the puzzle is a beautiful masterpiece. That's the love of your life. The pieces are just putting that together.
What's up, loves? It's your girl Deej, and I am going to give you 3 things that I love about men that women could actually learn from. Number 1, they only judge people based off of their actions, women especially. So the thing that I love about men is they will judge you strictly based off of what you do. They're always paying attention. And a lot of times women don't take this into consideration. They're watching what you wear, how you move, who you hang with. They're watching everything and they're judging you based only off of your actions. Where women, we tend to judge people based off of their words. Well, he said he was going to do this. Well, he said he loved me. He said this. Men know this, right? So they tend to play that in their favor. They will tell you anything that you want to hear, right? While also judging you based solely on your actions. Number 2, they have audacity. And sometimes when we hear this word audacity or someone being audacious, we tend to associate a negative connotation with that. But this is why so many men are successful, because they simply dare to be. They have no problem asking for what they want. And a lot of ladies out there, I'm sure you can relate, men asking you for goodies and whatnot, they can be very, very direct, even if their approach is indirect. Last but certainly not least, they allow people to serve them. And I'm not talking about in the traditional sitting at a restaurant or at a bar getting served by someone who's getting paid to serve you. I mean, they will utilize whoever they have around them to make their lives easier, okay? And this is really smart because our brains are designed in a way to conserve energy. This is what men excel at, okay? So think about that the next time you hear a man say, oh, but babe, you're so much more better at that than I am. Oh, I thought you could handle that. You know I'm no good at these things. You might really be good at it, but honestly, he's really telling you, I'm trying to conserve my energy, girl. You do it. Get somebody else to do it.
There's an element of strategy in how men think about dating and relationships. Some men may be more interested in the chase than the actual relationship. This is why it's important not to play manipulative games, as a secure man will. Not engage in such games. It's better to look for men who are clear in their intentions from the start and show you through action. This slow, steady approach can often lead to more meaningful connections. It also seems important to not underestimate men who start slow and are focused on truly getting to know you as opposed to rushing into grand gestures. Furthermore, it is also good to understand that men value freedom. Forcing commitment or love from a man is counterproductive, as they need to do so on their own accord. It's like the freedom to leave if they so choose makes the relationship a conscious decision to stay and engage, and is therefore a more valuable one. Interestingly, men's views on relationships can be significantly influenced by factors, such as their exposure to X-rated content. This is an important area for us to be aware of because many of these portrayals are not realistic and can create unhealthy expectations. We also have to acknowledge that men are sometimes judged on the basis of their actions more than their words. Many of them are not expressive with words, but they are definitely paying attention to everything. A man may be watching what you wear, who you hang out with, and the things that you do. Women also tend to use words to judge people, whereas men use actions to do so. This gives a good understanding of how men view relationships and allows women to learn from these differences. Finally, I think it's time we recognize and celebrate some of the truly beautiful qualities that men possess. We've been talking a lot about the harsh truths, but it's important to remember there are good men out there, and there is a lot to appreciate in them. Vulnerability, for example, is a strength that we should value. A man who can be open and honest is incredibly attractive. Also, decisiveness is very attractive when a man can make decisions after careful consideration. Similarly, a man who cares about others and is committed to making the world a better place is someone to be admired. Men who do not get easily angered are also very attractive. These are the kinds of men we should uplift in our community. These positive traits are important for healthy relationships. So, to sum it all up, understanding men is about seeing their perspectives, appreciating their strengths, and not falling into the trap of unrealistic expectations. It's about looking at actions, not just words, setting clear boundaries, and understanding that we all have different needs and ways of communicating. And remember, it's not about changing who you are, but about being informed and empowered to make choices that are right for you. This is about having a stronger sense of self and moving forward with intention and understanding. Thank you for tuning in to this discussion on the Black Tea Podcast. Be sure to like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more thought-provoking conversations. Until next time, stay empowered and connected.